He was pretty clear about it, why he was doing it. I promised I would do it, I'm doing it, and I deliver. And that's it.
Speaking of world leaders who are looking for another win, and will most certainly almost likely get them, let's talk about Vladimir Putin. He has announced that he will seek re-election as Russia's president next March. If he wins, which he may be very, very likely to, he would remain president until 2024. Now, I don't think any of us is really surprised by this announcement, but John, I wonder who Vladimir Putin's opponents might be, if any. Is there anyone who is standing up to say, okay, I'm going to take you on?
Well, look, it's hard to see anybody who is going to be a significant figure, who is going to kind of get the pollsters worried. I don't think phrases we will be using will be on a knife edge, too close to call. I think that I think rhetorically we can leave those phrases behind, because I think that,
there will be no runoff in the Russian election.
What we've seen in previous Russian elections is that there is a sort of almost like a poodle that's put up just for the sake of saying there is an opponent who is a straw doll that's ready to be knocked down again. Vladimir Putin's grip on Russia, on public opinion, is still incredibly strong. They'll have had an undoubted setback in the past with that's a very prestige Russia. Speaking, it's hard to see that there is any who is going to know any kind of opposition.
They just got slightly about the Russian Olympics with the International Committee banning Russia from the Winter Games in President Thomas Bach announced
please be able to look during 2018.
Thomas Bach, Putin managed to deliver this transformation from that Soviet era to a new era in which the country is relatively safe and relatively stable, and is doing well. I mean, until recent years, so definitely there are a lot of Russians who love him. One thing that has definitely been unstable is the relationship between the United Kingdom and the European Union. Brexit is getting closer and closer yet after the events of this week. We'll explain in just a moment. Stay close.
Homelessness in America is up for the first time in 7 years. And West Coast cities like Los Angeles are responsible for most of that increase. A booming economy means housing is more expensive.
I'm stuck here waiting on people who are supposed to be calling me. Oh, you're my next emergency case. It's been 3 weeks, and I'm still waiting.
I'm Kelly McEvers. One woman's story this afternoon on All Things Considered from NPR News.
This afternoon from 3 to 6:30 on WBHM.
WBHM will be at the Caja Bazaar Holiday Market this Saturday, December 9th, from noon to 7 p.m. Visit the WBHM booth, meet your favorite station personalities, and stock up on public radio gifts for the holiday season. There will be more than 70 local artists, food trucks, and Santa. That's the Caja Bazaar Holiday Market at Caja Brewing Company in Avondale, Saturday from noon until 7. We hope to see you there.
This holiday season, Greater Birmingham Ministries distributes non-perishable items to those in need. You can bring your non-perishable food items, cleaning supplies and toiletries to WBHM during regular business hours. We're located at 650 11th Street South in Birmingham.
Digital translation with computing, IoT,
City? Hi, Bridget. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. How about you?
Well, everything's fine over here, so...
She's definitely having one.
Congratulations! That's so great! You're having a girl!
there with Ryan.
Share a Coke with your holiday hero. Coca-Cola. Taste the feeling.
You're on air with Ryan Seacrest.
When we listen to the radio, we never agree on the station.
Classic rock.
Hip hop. Guys, quiet. The one thing we do agree on, we all want an awesome free phone. That's why we switched to Metro PCS.
Stop by Metro PCS with the whole family and get 4 free phones of your choice from brands you love, like Samsung, Motorola, and LG when you switch. Metro PCS. Wireless figured out. Coverage not available on some models. Sales tax not included in phone price. Free phone requires deployment. Those numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
So it's kind of funny that we know we're going to gain weight during the holidays. And then when the new year starts, you not only have to lose the weight you needed to lose, but you also have to lose that extra weight that you just gained. How about not gaining the extra weight in the first place? Let the folks at Bariatric Health and Wellness teach you strategies to get you through the holidays so that you don't gain all that weight and you're that much further ahead come the new year. Their weight loss programs are customized. The staff is incredibly supportive and the food so delicious. Don't wait. Call them now, 397-8856, or check them out at bariatricdirect.com. Bariatric Health and Wellness. Be healthy, live well.
Get Joy right now at Kohl's and take an extra 25% off. With an extra 25% off, Cuddle Duds throw pillows are $11.24 each, or a Keurig K55 $74.99. And holiday jammies for the family are 50% off, plus an extra 25% off. Santa's on his way to Kohl's this Sunday from 1 to 3 p.m. All the jolly details are at Kohl's.com/Santa. Get joy at Kohl's. Select styles 25% off for valid December 7th through 9th with promo code Santa. Some exclusions apply. See store at Kohl's.com for details.
Just you and I basically are professional yackers, talkers.
Yeah, I would say that's true.
So we obviously know how powerful saying something out loud can be to get a message across, which is why we're loving the new Voice Bite app.
Right, yeah, it's perfect for posting on social or sending messages using your actual voice.
What's cool is how listeners, you can submit anything from celebrity questions to your take on debates that we're having on the show without having to get through on the phone lines. It's like you got got a microphone right next to ours. Check it out. It's the Voice Bite app.
Tis the season for beauty and bliss. So treat yourself with a visit to Santa Fe Day Spa. In addition to our exquisite menu of salon and day spa services for men and women, we feature delicious holiday-inspired ingredients for our seasonal spa treatments. Choose from Christmas packages, single services, as well as special group events for companies, bridal parties, girls' night out, and more. Give this special someone the gift of relaxation with a gift certificate to Santa Fe. Order and print gift certificates or use our new instant online booking at SantaFeDaySpa.net. Because doesn't someone you know deserve a day at Santa Fe?
At Amazon, we've got everything you need for the perfect holiday get-together. From wining to dining to reclining together afterwards. And get free shipping on over 100 million items without minimum orders over $25. Only at Amazon. For all your entertaining and gifting needs. So whether it's a small family gathering or a whole house full, if you're hosting good times this holiday, visit Amazon.
Your employees are one of your company's greatest assets. So when it comes to things like short-term housing for contract or new employees, where they stay is important. Choose AHI Corporate Housing. With AHI Corporate Housing, they'll be staying in resort-style communities that offer the comforts of home, like luxurious bedding and large-screen TVs, full kitchens, and more. For over 20 years, AHI has helped thousands of people find the perfect home away from home. Choose AHI for your company's short-term housing needs. Visit AHICorporateHousing.com. Work, stay, play with AHI.
Why should you use Premier Living Suites for your business?
I transferred jobs from Dallas to Birmingham, and I needed a place to stay until I bought a home. My new company set me up with Premier Living Suites. They accommodated my short-term living needs with a fully furnished apartment. It had all the utilities and small items needed.
Independent country, member of Northern Ireland, the 6 counties in Northern Ireland are part of Great Britain. No one had thought about what the consequences would be of Brexit on how this would leave Northern Ireland. And so there was some talk early on that in effect you'd let Northern Ireland just be part of the Republic of Ireland. Well, that was completely unacceptable to the loyalists, as they're called, to the United Kingdom, the loyalist MPs who are keeping Theresa May afloat. And so a deal that looked like had been agreed on Monday, and suddenly this party, the Democratic Unionist Party, that are part of a coalition with Theresa May, said, you must be joking, we're not putting up with this. Northern Ireland has to be treated the same as the rest of Ireland. And there's been all sorts of complex haggling, and there is still some wording in that agreement that's been announced today that is going to be fought over, I guarantee you.
Lee Slavitt, this seems to be a victory for somebody. I'm not sure exactly who comes out ahead of this.
John has been doing it very well. I mean, look, there was this kind of deadline that, the clock was ticking with Theresa May, and, the question was she going to be able to get this all done so that trade talks can begin, and that there would, if they failed to have this joint position with the Europeans, this was just kind of going to drag it on. So I think it maybe eases the fears of everybody that was living in limbo. I think is the most important thing right now, that these talks, this is going to happen. I think anybody that thought, there's so much red tape, this is never going to go through. I mean, it does look as if Brexit is proceeding, and I think the clearer and, firmer timelines that they're able to stick to, I think gives more comfort to the British people, it gives more comfort to the EU, it helps markets. So I think in terms of stability, that might be the big silver lining of it.
Natan, I wonder your perspective on maybe the flip side of this and the potential impacts of breaking up this relationship that some of our listeners are asking about. Palm Tree Jutsu tweeted, Brexit smells too much like a Russian interference campaign, much like the U.S. election. A breakup of the EU is something Putin and Russia had been working towards. Is that a little conspiracy theory-ish, or is there anything to that?
It is a conspiracy theory-ish, but we should keep in mind, remember during the election campaign that Donald Trump promised that he'll be Brexit times 3 or whatever. He'll be the big surprise, something that's unexpected and doesn't seem to make sense to many people watching from the outside. That is the same part of it, the idea that you can break international agreements, you can step away from this global order that we've been used to. Naturally, Russia just has to sit on the sidelines and watch how this this entire old world order crumbles, and it's in Russia's benefit. But is Russia behind it? I doubt it.
Simon tweeted, most UK companies were always going to have to continue to follow EU regulations to sell in the EU. Why was it so difficult to reach today's agreement? Wasn't that aspect obvious, John?
No, because if you don't get an agreement, I mean, of course, the companies still want to be able to carry on selling their products around the world as freely as possible, with as little interference as possible from customs and borders and tariffs and all the rest of it. But this is a political agreement, and the one thing the European Union was determined should not happen was that Britain would be able to dine a la carte on the European Union, get all the advantages and not have to pay any of the fees, because everybody would want the same thing, and then the European Union would disintegrate as a sort of, coherent body. And so I think that European Union simply could not just say to Europe, to the British, yeah, you carry on trading, that's absolutely fine, we don't care, you cherry pick what you like and ignore the rest. There was no way the European Union could agree to that.
Let's make our way to another big story that moved around the world this week, especially in two countries, Australia and Austria. Both of them voted this week to legalize same-sex marriage. Australia voted overwhelmingly to legalize same-sex marriage just yesterday, with a final vote of approval in its House of Representatives. Here's what it sounded like the moment after that measure passed.
As there are fewer than 5 members on the side for the noes in this division, I declare the question resolved in the affirmative in accordance with Standing Order 127. The names of those members who are in the minority will be recorded in the votes and proceedings. The Clerk.
Third reading, a bill for an act to amend the law relating to the definition of marriage and protect religious freedoms and for related purposes.
That was the sound from Australia's House. In Austria on Tuesday, its constitutional court overturned a law banning same-sex marriage, ruling the law to be discriminatory. Under court recommendations, couples will not be able to get married until 2019. Elise, how big a deal are these two votes? These aren't the first two countries to legalize same-sex marriage.
Australia was the 26th country to do so, and there are about 15 European countries that have followed. When Netherlands became the first in 2001. I think it's very significant. I think it was a much harder fought battle it was like a very bitter debate in Australia's parliament. Even though only 4 MPs voted against the reform, there was this provision about amendments that would have ensured those Australians who are against gay marriage to be able to speak freely. Those were rejected. So not only is it, same-sex marriage is, the law of the land. You cannot even speak out. And it's a debate we're having in our country about, like, clergy, for instance, that, what about the religious freedom? So I think it's much more of a hot button issue in Australia.
I'm Joshua Johnson. You're listening to 1A. Before we continue with this one, I should break in on a story that we've been following throughout the day. We've been covering Congress's efforts to finish funding the federal government for at least the next few weeks to prevent a partial government shutdown. The administration has just announced that President Trump is signing a continuing resolution to fund the government for 2 more weeks. A shutdown might have happened today, absent some kind of measure. Now, this is not the funding plan. This continues to fund the government the way it's being funded right now for 2 more weeks to give the House and the Senate, Republicans and Democrats, more time to figure out a longer standing plan. But Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders announced just within the last few minutes that President Trump is signing a continuing resolution to fund the government for 2 more weeks. We'll have more on that story here on your NPR member station and online at npr.org. Before we're out of time, we should shift gears and talk about Honduras. It's been 12 days since Honduras held its presidential election, and still, no one has been declared the winner. But there have been protests and tension, even some deaths in confrontations with security forces. The frontrunners are the incumbent Juan Orlando Hernandez and an opposing candidate, Salvador Nazraya, who is a popular TV host, and there have been allegations of election fraud. John, why hasn't Honduras chosen a president yet? What's going on?
Well, there's been an election, like seen in Kenya as well. And it's contested what the results were about whether it was free, whether it was fair, whether it was properly conducted.